have so many questions.
Yeah, go for it.
I don't even know what to think right now. So this is a CRV.
It is.
At least what's left of it.
That's right.
This is the craziest CRV in the world.
We didn't specifically try to make it the craziest CRV in the world, but I think it is.
Okay, so what was the original concept? Just fit the most insane power plant in an ordinary pedestrian vehicle.
You know, normally we have a very specific set of rules that we're trying to fit into. In this particular case, we wanted to do something a little bit different. We wanted to work with this new hybrid powertrain for all of our engineers to gain the experience of, you know, working with a race hybrid system. You know, we wanted to do something with a vehicle that we normally don't get to take racing and show kind of the fun side of things.
Normally, like you said, you have to build your vehicles or at least the power plant is in a vehicle that is within spec. It's something where you have to race against other people. This is like an experiment in engineering and creativity, I guess.
That's right. No rule book, no limits on anything that we can do. You know, we put it together, like I said, to have some fun, but also as a test bed for new technologies, you know, specifically hybrid and battery technologies, things like that, to give us a place that we can train our people on that kind of stuff, as well as just test new tech. You know, this stuff is developing so quickly. We needed a place to go develop the systems that we take racing.
Yeah. This actually reminds me of the Renault minivan. I don't know if you've seen that.
Yes, definitely.
That had the F1, their F1 power plant.
Yep.
Yeah, so this is essentially like the Honda version of that.
It, you know, definitely. I mean, we're all aware of that car. You know, we took a lot of our inspiration from old Group B cars, the old DTM cars, you know, something, as you say, you know, something really wild bodywork, big fender flares, you know, lots of aero features on the car. Yeah, definitely.
All right, so let's just dig into this right now. What's left of the CRV?
So from about here up is mostly CRV. In fact, a lot of these panels are steel from a mass production CRV. We had some help from the factory that builds the production cars to help us get the panels that we needed to do the upper portion of the body.
And then like headlights, grille, all of this stuff.
Headlights, grille, tail lights, you know, the hood, other than the
Wait,
the large.
This is still metal?
Yes.
Huh. Okay.
So that's metal. The roof, the top half of the doors, the tailgate, the trim around the windows, that's all CRV.
Incredible. And the crazy thing to me is that Honda makes so many different types of vehicles, and you could have done this pretty much with anything, but you chose a CRV.
Yep.
So I love this because there's a kind of a relatability to it, right? The body shape is still the same. It is obviously a lot wider, but when I look at it, it still looks like a CRV, but it's just so aggressive.
Definitely, yeah.
So then all of this stuff, you guys design all this stuff in-house?
We did, yeah.
And this is all like one-off dry carbon bits?
Yeah, it's all one-off carbon. You know, the fenders, the bottom half, the side panels, the fender flares. The roof rails are carbon, but based on the shape of the CRV roof rails.
This is just so crazy. And then, but the rest of the aero, I'm guessing you guys probably ran it through simulations and stuff to make it functional.
We did, yeah.
Because you're actually going to take this to the track, and we're actually at Chuckwalla today, and you're going to drive this today.
That's right, we are.
So then what's the purpose of it? You're actually going to take it to like a tour or something like that?
So it's purely built as a demonstration car. We're going to take it to a number of Indycar events, as well as some more standalone events. We want to show that hybrids are fun, you know, that there's performance there. It's not something boring that, you know, we want to show the exciting side of it. And then the connections with the powertrain to the new hybrid Indycar powertrain that'll be coming next year.
Got it. And this is like kind of a preview of that. This is probably one of the first vehicles that has this powertrain.
It's very close, yep.
Let's take a look at the back. This design here for the side skirt is crazy.
Yeah.
I've never seen anything like it. I mean, it is insane. So this must be functional.
It is, but we also, in addition to the functionality of it, we had a lot of help from Honda's styling studio, who styles a lot of our production cars. And, we really turned those guys loose as well to do something that they wouldn't normally get to do.
The first time I laid eyes on this vehicle, I immediately thought, this is something that I could see going up Pikes Peak, because it is not built to any rules or anything like that. It's just built to go fast. Obviously, safety is a big part of it. But just the way it sits, it reminds me of something that would go up, like the Suzuki that was driven by Monster Tajima. Mm-hmm. That's what it reminds me of, especially with that big wing and all the functional aero. It just looks incredible.
It's something we've talked about. It's not out of the question.
Oh, okay. It is appropriately named the Beast. Is there a reason why you chose that name?
That was our code word for it during development. I think if you've seen the car in person, you kind of know how it picked up that name.
So cool. Okay, so can we open it up? I know the back half opens as like a clamshell. All of this is one piece.
Yes.
And that way, it's probably easier to service that way, and just the packaging of it.
It does make it a lot easier to service with it being mid-engine. And then we also just did it just for the visual impact of folding that thing up in the air. And, when you stand it up, you'll see there's a sort of an X-ray view of the powertrain up on the roof as well.
Yeah, the livery is incredible. I love that there's a little bit of blue. There's that hybrid feel, and then it goes to red, which is very powerful. You have the ICE hybrid, electric, and then you have the internal combustion portion of it.
When you're up close to it, you'll see a number of the tracks where we plan to take it to Indycar events are kind of ghosted onto the top of the wrap.
So let's maybe start from front to back. The actual chassis is just all tubes.
Yeah, it's a completely bespoke tube frame specific to this project.
I see. So because the pickup points, or not the pickup points, but the proportions are the same as a actual CRV.
Yeah, before you start adding the carbon bodywork onto it, mm-hmm. the proportions of the car are completely CRV.
Got it. So then what's the front end here?
So front suspension, steering, everything comes off the NSX GT3 race car.
Of course it does. Wow, okay. And then that's everything. That's like the brakes and everything like that?
Yep, brakes, the suspension, steering, the pedal box, all of that comes straight from the GT3 car.
So did you have like a GT3 car just to pull everything off of, or?
We didn't. We basically just took it out of spares or build parts that we would use.
Is this all the cooling system, or what is this for?
Yeah, so radiator, oil cooler, hybrid, gearbox coolers, all of this comes from the Dallara Indycar parts.
You guys just had to package it for
Exactly,
this.
Yep.
Amazing. So I had a chance to spend all night with this in downtown LA just the other day, but I couldn't even really think about what I was shooting. I just kind of had to do my job and take the pictures and not ask any questions or, prod or pick at things. But, I'm such a car nerd. I just wanted to know more about this. What are we looking at here? What is this?
So most of what you're looking at comes from the current Indycar. So the engine, bell housing, gearbox, suspension is all current Indycar parts. And then the hybrid system is a bespoke system that's added on to the existing non-hybrid powertrain.
Oh, okay. Got it. And then so this has more power in terms of it adds power when you need it, and it probably is able to run just on electric?
That's right, it can, yeah.
there's just so much going on here.
Yep.
Because I know in the IndyCar, the actual motor and transmission setup, that's structural.
Yes.
But this, you have to build like something one-off to just fit this in this package.
The powertrain is still structural here, but we did have to add on the additional frame to support the supercapacitors, and then also, you know, with the size difference between the CRV and, you know, the normal IndyCar tub, we added additional stiffening to it to help keep the torsional rigidity of the car consistent.
Yeah, because this was never meant to be in such a big vehicle.
Right, exactly.
It's insane how low it is, and just how forward you were able to put it,
Yep.
even though it's a mid-engine. So then, is that the electric motor back there?
Yeah, that's the MGU, so the motor generator unit.
Just like a normal hybrid, it adds power, or it could go full electric, or it could switch depending on what you need. Like if you're going out of the pits, how does that work?
Yep, so we built this system as a precursor to what'll run in IndyCar for our engineers to learn from it, to start figuring out the best ways to operate a system like this. So we've taken ideas from different places, but the car can take off out of the pits fully electric. It can then start the engine at the end of pit lane. And then on track, the hybrid system works as a push to pass. So when the driver hits a button on the wheel, it adds the electric power to the regular internal combustion engine power.
How much power does this whole package make then in total?
We can vary the tuning of it, but today it'll be around 800 horsepower.
Today. That means tomorrow it could be 1,000 horsepower or more.
Maybe not tomorrow, but
Right.
sometime
Very
in the
soon,
future.
very soon.
That's right.
So then, have you been able to weigh this at all? Because I can't imagine this is something where it's like, oh, you guys are planning to be under a certain weight. It just came out the way it came out.
We tried to be aware of the weight as we're building the car. A lot of it was, the weight was determined by the goals of the project. So the finished car, ready to run on track, weighs in a little over 3,000 pounds.
To run this, it's not just like a normal CRV where you just turn the key and go. There's so much involvement just to start this, because you have to pre-warm it up. Otherwise, the clearances for the motor aren't correct.
That's right. So this is a completely unmodified IndyCar engine. So we have to preheat the oil and the water to warm it all up and get the clearances right before you can fire the engine up. So I think you can see here, while we have the clamshell open, how much of this is still steel CRV bodywork.
Yeah, including like you still have some rubber seals from the CRV.
Yep.
So like you legitimately just cut it.
We did, yeah.
Yeah, I can imagine this would be so much more of an effort actually to do in all carbon. But it's actually a lot cooler in my eyes that it's real CRV parts.
It's, you know, in some ways it would have been easier to do the whole thing out of carbon. But then, you know, the whole idea that there is so much CRV still in this is just kind of lost. By keeping so much of the sheet metal in here, you can still see the connection to the road car.
Yeah, I just love the little things. Like, for example, the door handle. You guys, it looks like you 3D printed like a bracket on the other side just to keep it, retain it.
Yep.
And it just looks stock that way from the outside, but on the inside, it's just obviously all empty. So then, like, what is this hose for? To cool?
It's cooling.
To cool
for the
batteries?
supercapacitors.
Oh, because these aren't batteries, they're capacitors.
Correct. Yep, they're capacitors.
That way they can just use their power like a lot faster than something like a lithium ion battery.
Yeah, so they can charge and discharge very quickly.
Amazing. So then this motor, did you pull it out of a vehicle or like a race car, or was this a new motor?
It was new. It was specifically built for this project.
The cool thing about this vehicle is you can have a passenger.
Absolutely.
That is awesome. I mean, while there are two-seater Indy cars, there's actually quite a bit of room.
Yeah, it really is. I mean, you know, all the dimensions are the same as a CRV, so really it's pretty roomy in there.
If you wanted to, I'm guessing you guys probably could have put the stock dash in, or a lot of it, huh?
We probably could have. Because it is a race car, we wanted to keep it a little bit bare bones.
But like the door had to be cut in half because of the design. You have the duct here, right, for the intake, but also the cage. It's just low enough for you to be able to have the door here.
Yep, and basically the split in the door was determined by the height of the cage.
There's still rubber seals here on a race car. I think it's super cool that there's just still some stock components, but the floor is entirely just sheets of aluminum.
Yeah.
And then it turns into carbon. The underbody turns into carbon in the back.
Yeah, so there's an aluminum floor in the interior, but the car actually has a complete carbon flat floor under it. So splitter, the flat floor section, and then the rear diffuser are all carbon.
And then, so then, like, what is the steering setup out of?
So the steering column is from the NSX GT3 race car, and then the wheel is an Indycar wheel.
Oh, this is the actual wheel out of the Indycar.
Yeah.
So this is what you mean by kind of having an X-ray of what's inside.
Yep.
This is like a top-down view.
Yeah, so that's the HPD race engine and the gearbox from the Indycar.
Amazing. Well, I think it's time to check it out on track. Here you go. Going for a ride with James in the Beast. Excited. So I did get to chase it in my Supra. Even though it's on street tires, it still corners really fast. Unfortunately, it was limited to 100, so we hit speed limiter on the front straight here. It can definitely go a lot faster.
Okay. Master on P1. Temp check when you're up. 77, 73. Good? I'm assuming we're good. You kidding me? You need the approval. Okay.
Ready, strapped in, excited to feel what it feels like. I bet it's really loud. Crazy.
Then download it.
Okay, that was interesting. That's definitely unlike any car I've ridden in. Wow. What a day, huh?
Yeah, it's pretty cool.
This thing is so crazy. You guys really built something very unique.
Yeah, thanks.
It sounds so insane.
It's pretty insane riding in it too, isn't it?
Yeah. So when you see it move, it just doesn't feel like the sound is coming from something of this size. But it looks incredible. And what's cool to me is the aero seems like it's really working. It's seriously picking up everything off the ground. And there's like this cool vortex that is happening behind you. How was it to drive? This is your first time really driving it. Not really pushing it, but at least just trying it out.
Yeah, I mean, this is only our second day driving the car. It's really good. It's a lot of fun to drive. It handles nicely and, it's pretty well behaved.
I guess there's not really like a model you can base this off of in terms of like handling, but you guys know essentially what should work because we have Indycar pretty much full rear, NSX GT3 all front.
Yeah. So separately, we know a whole lot about both of those. And our engineers did a good job of making sense out of the combination of the two of them.
And so right now the motor's not going full tilt, but 2.2 liter twin turbo V6.
Yeah.
What does it rev out to?
We've got it about 12.5.
And then so today, what are you revving it up to?
Most of the time I'm shifting between 11 and 12, something like that. We're just trying to keep it out of the limiter today.
Because you still have a lot of testing to do before you kind of go all out. You have to get it to a point from testing to be able to push it on track.
Oh, for sure, yeah. With any new car, there's a period of shaking it down and just making sure that everything's working as intended. And then there's, the setting it up and dialing it in. So we've got top speed limited. We've got, we're kind of taking it easy, working through all those steps.
So potentially what could be the top speed of this, the way it's geared?
We've got it geared for 140 right now. But there's, it's because it's an Indycar transaxle, we can gear it to anything pretty much.
Anything. So riding in it, couple things that I noticed right away. The view is so good. I mean, you're just commanding the road, commanding the track. It is like a CRV seating position. You could just see so much.
Yep.
And also on top of that, oh my goodness, that motor is so loud. It just has like this tingy, vibraty, interesting sound, especially when the boost kicks in. It's just so loud, it rattles my entire body. So have you driven, you've obviously driven crazy race cars. What does this feel like compared to a lot of the other race cars you've driven?
Power to weight wise, it's pretty solid performance wise. There's crazier things out there for sure, but it's a lot of fun. It's easy to drive in a way, if you respect the amount of power that it makes, but definitely it could get out of hand.
Do you foresee you guys actually putting actual slicks on this?
I mean, anything's possible.
One thing we neglected to talk about, which I'm actually really interested in, what kind of wheels are these?
So these are made by 2L. They do our LMDH sports car wheels. They do a lot of real high performance wheels. So these are specifically made for this car because, again, we're combining two different sets of chassis parts. The fronts are designed to bolt onto an NSX GT3, and then the back are designed for the Indycar uprights and hubs, and then to balance the track width between the front and the rear.
So then the actual center lug system is different front to rear?
They are different nuts, slightly different drive styles, yeah.
So then you actually have to make sure, well, the front is a different size than the rear also? Or is it a square
They're different
setup?
widths.
Different widths.
Yeah.
But the tire size is a square setup.
No, the tire sizes are staggered also.
Okay, so it is a stagger setup.
Yeah, so
Got
wheel
it.
and tire are staggered.
Got it. That's so interesting that instead of adapting the hub to like one thing, you have to just use NSX GT3 front and then IndyCar in the rear.
Yep.
Amazing. That is just too cool. And then where are the brakes out of?
So the front brakes are NSX GT3. They're identical off the race car. The rears are a bespoke steel brake set designed to match to the fronts. Normally the IndyCar would use carbon brakes.
One thing that really surprised me was when you actually did that electric start. You know, when you actually left, it was so quiet, I didn't even realize you were moving. And then as soon as you were almost about to pass us, that's kind of when it just had this crazy explosion of power just going to the ICE engine.
Yeah.
That is something that's super unique about this build.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
And that was something, you know, that was an important thing that we wanted to do with this car. You know, it's so easy when the engine is running. It's so loud, it's so in your face that we wanted to really make sure that the hybrid part was also equally visible to people.
Did you have a chance to push the hybrid power button today?
I didn't end up using it today, but we used it the last time we were out testing.
And then you can actually notice the
You
power
can,
pump?
yep. Even with all the power that the ICE engine makes, you still feel when you're on the push to pass.
And then right now, when you're just doing passes around this track, is it actually charging the capacitors?
It is, yeah. Because we use the same MGU to start the engine, we deplete them just a few percent every time we start up. And then, yeah, when it's running, it recharges them so that we always have the power to start the car.
What does MGU stand for?
Motor generator unit.
God,
So that's the electric motor that's hung off the back of the gearbox.
amazing. Well, thank you so much for bringing this out. This has just been such a treat to shoot this thing and see it run. It was something else seeing you come down here. You know, we have the sun setting, you're just kicking up the dust, and it just looks so good. Amazing.
Yeah,
Really
well,
good job.
I'm glad you guys could come out. We had a lot of fun.
I actually can't wait to see you guys take it on tour, and I can't wait to see what it's actually capable of once you guys finish testing.
Once we really turn it loose.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's going to be pretty wild.